What's up, YouTube followers? We're in fall, and I'm with Dom, the artist.
Hello, hello, hello.
Thank you for so much for coming.
Yeah, definitely.
Now I'm gonna skip right to my question because I mean, when I think about you, I think about your art. I've seen your art. You know, your first piece I saw at, where did I see it? Pharaoh, or did I see it in El Gyro?
Describe the piece to me.
It was the chain. It was at a Pharaoh.
It was the video. It was
Yeah,
at a
it was
Pharaoh.
video.
Yeah.
When I saw her piece, let me tell you what happened. I walked by it. All right. This lady, what's going on? That's what I want her to explain. I walked by it. This way there. And I came back. And then I looked at it. Where do you get this tension that you put in these pieces? And the same thing when we had the art show and you had those the black images with the tension and the tension you created. So talk about where that art comes from. You can talk about yourself, but that was my first question.
Let's jump to the first question then. So what I do is normally I draw from both my experience and other people's experiences and social issues. So just tackling that, because when you right now, with so many things that's happening and knowing your history or finding a little bit more about your history, my background is I'm a Haitian American. So I was born here, but I grew up in Haiti for a good chunk of that during my formative years. So I've experienced a lot of things. So when I started doing art, it was more personal. And then I realized what I was saying wasn't just my dilemma. It was a dilemma that was a shared experience. Then I started thinking about, okay, well, what else is it that I feel that is an issue that I could discuss and sort of see other people in them. I didn't even have to really force the issue. All I needed to do was just pay attention and just channel that energy, or things that just it's more like being political without being political, being an activist without being an activist, meaning you see certain things, you feel like you're powerless, but I realized that my weapon really was the work that I was doing.
It was the art.
It was the art. So I was able to discuss things that were truly bugging me, were driving me insane through the work that I was doing. I mean, of course, that's a lot of people where they draw inspiration from real life, but really it was more, I don't like having debates with people. I prefer to hear debates sometimes. I also pay attention to when articles are posted on whether Facebook or whatever, or a video that's charged, and then look at the comments. The comments are always important to me because it gives me a window to how the mass thinks. And that's where another level of the energy comes, where you're saying, are people really just so blinded where everyone seems to be functioning on a two-dimensional instead of three-dimensional aspect. They just want to think on the surface, whatever is given to them, the paper bag, and you run. Paper bag, plastic bag is not what it used to be anymore, because by the time you walk out of the store, it's torn. You got to pay attention to the fact that whatever they're delivering you is not the full package. It's very limited. So it's those sort of things, lack of information or searching for information, or just pure how humanity is still struggling.
Yes.
And we are being distracted by things like our cell phones, our computers, gadgets, programs. Those are distractions for us not to notice how bad certain things are, certain aspects are. So when you said you walk by my work, that is not an uncommon thing. That's actually very common for my work, where people just walk by it.
It made me very uncomfortable.
Because the work that I do is so layered, it's so charged, but at the same time, it's not one of the works where it's colorful and it draws you in, because colorfulness tends to draw people in till this day. Anything that's stark black but does not a drawing is not something that usually draw, like drawings draw people in, because you see that, oh, this is a drawing, it's expected to be charcoal or pencil. But if anything else, meaning painting or sculpture, that becomes a whole different thing, because you just almost want to block it. And if you think about it, it's something that we do naturally when we drive down a road or area and we see someone of color and we just want to block them across the street or whatever. So it's not really uncommon for people to just walk by my work and not pay attention to subtext, context, social aspect, psychological aspect, cultural aspect. It's all in there. It's all in there. It's all a matter of you just taking your time, slow down, and that's what the work is supposed to do. If you stop, eventually your heartbeat is supposed to either slow down or race, or both, for you to realize what's going on and make a connection with what's going on in front of you. And that's what I try to do. Very few times that does happen.
Well, in my case, you've done it. And the other thing is that, I mean, I am so happy to hear that's what you do as an artist, because in doing this series, the Artistry Creates the World, we've been moving on that path. And so my questions to artists has become, well, why doesn't your work reflect the hurt, the what's in the social system that you live in that you need to address, and not just something that feels good or makes you feel good or makes us feel good. The artist should be speaking to the world, should be making the world better through their art. So I really do appreciate you doing that, because that art makes people stop. It made me stop. It made me think. And I went to where they had the after party over there. Is that
at Index?
Yes, at Index. Like one day during the day, and I just walked around, and it was almost like I was in not a graveyard, but I was just like so delicate. I was just like walking into, I was like looking, and I think that speaks to these places and emotions that we never really get to grapple with and touch and to embrace and to own them for what they really true are, and not what the sugar coating on it and the fluff on it.
Well, if you ask that question, and a lot of people do ask that question, a lot of people tell me, oh, why isn't your art more colorful? Why can't you make happy art? Why can't you make something more positive? Because their assumption is what I'm doing is negative. Their assumption is what I'm doing is only tackling negativity. But what they don't realize, if you're an artist, there are all kinds of artists out there, right? We can't all be doing the same thing. If we're all doing the same thing, then we're not truly the definition of what artists are. So that's to start off, because often enough people just want to change and sort of dilute or reshape the image or the creativity of the artist to be something that they could feel comfortable with. But that's not what it's about, okay? It's not about making you comfortable. There are artists out there who's about making that comfort, but there are artists who are about something totally different. You have artists who are activist artists. You have artists who deal with politically charged information. There are artists who are out there who's there to like really take the grime, the kind of thing that you don't want to deal with. And they draw that. And some people might say, well, why is that art? Why isn't it art? Why isn't it art? Because art is something where it does so much. It's something that the 3-letter word art has so much in it, because that's exactly what it needs to be. It's a very charged sort of feel. If you say you're an artist, that label to me, actually. It's not because I'm just an artist, but that label is a very important label. It took me a while before I could say I'm an artist, because I respect it the same way I don't say I love you all the time. I have to say I love you when I really mean it. Okay? I'm not going to say I love you just to say I love you. I'll say I love you when I really mean it, because it means something. You want that person to feel it. When I say I'm an artist, I really believe it, because I'm doing what I need to do. And that's, I believe, what I need to do is discuss what we're dealing with today, and also bridging the time that was, and how, while we say there is progress, there is so much more progress that is needed. And it's, if you don't want to believe that, because there are people who believe we're living in a postmodern, not postmodern, I'm sorry, post-racial society today. If you want to believe we're living in a post-racial society today, come on now, look at the news. Look at what just happened not too long ago, how a cop body slammed a child, okay, in her classroom, a young girl, just rip her from her chair and, like, you know, just aggressively body slamming her and putting his whole fat ass weight on her, okay, to say that these are things, and then trying to blame it on her. Okay, we're not going into that, but it's those sort of things that sort of like informs my work.
Oh.
Because when I see that, or the Sandra Bland situation, or the riot that, well, you know, what happened in Baltimore, you think about that, then you think about the time that was, okay? The time where, you know, the Jim Crow era and whatnot. And yes, that was the era that we weren't really around. I wasn't around. But you can't help but look and say, like, how the hell did we still manage to remain in this whole society where people look at us and they think we're the same dancing coons? Okay? We're no longer, we never were these fools.
Right,
okay?
Right.
So it has to be a perception, okay? A psychological perception that was propaganda used,
yes.
okay?
Yes.
Used to sort of infuse in the mind, this is how you need to see these people. So that means when you see the person, it's like whenever you show a dog an attack thing, like, you know, so whenever he sees that thing, when you say attack, he'll attack. Basically, that's what it is, to me, at least. When I see what's going on, I'm drawing in from that, like, time and time, like, you know, these caricatures, these moments that happened then, and this perception of how to see black people, it seems like the effect is coming now.
We have to, I love what you said about, you didn't say this, but the injustice informs our work.
Mm-hmm.
But then we have to reframe the conversation of how artistry and art is seen.
Mm-hmm.
Because it has been taken out of its true essence.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a problem because people don't take it seriously.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's almost like part of the culture, but not the real, not with the bite that you talk about.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have that bite, you know, where we're dealing with the injustice, dealing with it, the inequities. Or we deal with it, like you said earlier in an interview, on the surface.
Yeah.
We like to stay there. It's nice and comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't bother our emotions.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't make us think. But the true artist is supposed to be informed about the inequality, the injustice, and just return that back into the world.
Well,
say,
not
look,
all of us. Not all
right.
of us.
Well, you said, yeah.
Because I think some people, they talk about the futurism of it all. Okay, a future society, and how we project that, and how certain aspects of that sort of informs that. And maybe some people talk about the past, like the great Kara Walker, okay? How she depicts, you know, a society then. And really, if you look at it, there's a little bit of that that's like going on now. But there are people who talk about the society today, where the injustice today. But like I said, everyone is focusing on something different, and that's okay. But if you see the opportunity if you have the desire for some reason, you find yourself as you're doing work, you kind of want to talk about some heavy shit. And you wonder, should I talk about this heavy shit? I'm saying, do the heavy shit.
Yes.
Because, honestly, when you fight it, all that's going to happen, every negativity that we're like, well, don't do this, or why are you going to do this, or whatever, is really going to affect you doing it or not, which means you're hindering what your true sort of like, sense of creativity.
Right, yes.
In the beginning of this whole series, it's going on 3 years now. It started with one word.
And you're referring to your series.
My series, yes, which was the word nigger. And I wanted, and really, it wasn't, the whole series started with, thank you for treating me like a nigger today. That was the beginning of the whole series. Thank you for treating me like a nigger today. And I was afraid to go down that hole. I'm like, I don't think I need to go down this hole because I don't think it's really a problem. Because how is nigger an issue today? But no, that's just it. The more it took time and the more that I was gravitating to like, do it. And I was doing stuff and I was doing stuff and I was doing stuff and I was like, getting better as explaining it and keep churning the thing out. And I saw connections in a lot of things. So that's why I say, if you feel that whatever the topic is or the subject, you're like, oh, this is going to be a heavy one, I don't think I should do it. Do it. I can't stress it enough.
No,
do it.
I agree with you. Tell them, say it.
Do it. Because what the worst that could happen is what? You put it in your application for a residency, grant, whatever, a call, and they say no, whatever. They're going to say no to you regardless, because if they don't know you anyway, chances are they're not going to give you the chance anyway. So just put it out there. Put it out there. Let them know that you exist and this is the work that you're doing.
Yes.
Let them deal with it. Okay, if the gallery says, yes, we want you to put this here, and then all of a sudden, as you put it up, they're like, well, I don't know, because it seemed visually it was safe, but then you got a title that's saying prisoner with nigger in mind. Okay. Maybe I shouldn't have done that shit. Maybe I shouldn't have. You got a piece where it says niggification. Maybe I shouldn't have put this piece in here. But guess what? You already said yes to me. You can't say no, right?
Y'all see why I love her? Y'all see?
You can't say no to me because I already got the yes. You already said yes to the work, okay? And the work is going to do what it needs to do because those who can understand will understand. And those who don't understand, maybe they'll be informed. And I've dealt with some who want to ask you a bunch of questions, nonsense questions, and kind of turn it around, make it seem like you're the cuckoo one. That's them that's trying to, they're trying to shroud you. They're trying to cover you so you could stop doing that because they don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear that shit. They don't want to hear the reality. Because they always want to say, well, black artists only talk about one thing and one thing only. That is not true. And if we do, guess what? We're talking about our reality. We're talking about, I always tell everyone, okay? Anyone who say, Dom, what do you think of this or whatever, blah, blah, blah. I said, look, if you're going to do work, the first thing you need to do is you got to tap into something that you know and that you could speak of well. Okay, you just start there.
Right.
And then you add research to that. We're talking about our experience, our lives, our conditioning, So what? So what? So what? We're not talking about random butterfly art. Butterfly ain't what we want to talk about. And if that's what you want to talk about, hey, talk about your butterflies. Butterfly is not for me. Not for me.
Certainly.
No, no. SpongeBob is not for me.
So
You know, I got something else to say. And if you pay attention,
long enough.
yes, if you pay attention, you will hear a lot. I'm not going to write it down. I'm just going to do what I need to do as a visual artist. I will do it as sculptures, I'll do it as photography, I'll do it as a video, or I'll do it as printmaking. Anything that during that month when I want to do it, I can afford to do it. I will do it.
That's awesome, Dom. I mean, I really have no questions for her. I mean, you covered everything. Like my questions that I asked, you really spoke to the art community. Um, you gave them really lessons in terms of what to expect, but don't be afraid of it. I would just underscore something that I talk about all the time: follow your intuition. If your intuition is telling you go in this direction and you haven't gone in that, follow that intuition, because that's where that truth is. You know, and you're not following other people, and that's where you tap into your pure creativity. Just put it out there, and you never know what return is going to come from that.
More afraid you are of it, that's when you got to do it.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, I find that the more fear you have towards something that you're doing, then yeah, you're in the right direction. That's just my thing.
No, I like that.
Personally,
I like that.
I find that a lot of people it successfully, whenever they're a little worried and they're like, you know, I don't think, yup, that's the success right there, and they blow up. They blow up. They do what they need to do, and sometimes I'm gonna tell you something funny, and this is going into environment. Now,
that's fine.
Okay, the environment aspect of it. Being in the wrong place can also stop you from creating too.
Stifle.
And what does that mean? I'm going to give you a simple example. I've been fussing about my hair, saying, oh, my hair looks crappy. You know, it's like real bad, just like real rough looking. I'm like, I want to cut the whole thing off. And people, whenever I'll go to shows, sometimes people look at me and like, what's going on with your hair? You know, So I go to this event in New York. It was an Afro punk kind of thing. And I walked into this room. And when I walked in, it didn't hit me yet. I walked in, it's like all these beautiful shades of black people, not just black people, there were white people there, Hispanic, whatever, but it was like all different hairs, like reds, coarse hair, whatever. I haven't paid attention to that yet. I was just looking, where am I going to sit down? So when I finally sit down, I sat down all the way in the back in the corner, but I have a good view of the whole room. And as I'm looking, I'm sitting down, I'm calming down, and I'm looking at the hair. Me fussing before I got out of the house, I'm like, okay, this is going to look crappy, but I don't care. It's New York, right? I get into the room, I'm looking now, and I'm paying attention, and I go, my peoples, I was in the wrong place the whole time.
Right, I got you.
And and sometimes we need that, where we need to sort of be around family. And when I say family, it's not necessarily blood, but people who could understand what you're saying, who you don't have to defend everything you're saying to, who you could have a dialogue with, but not confrontation. That's what I'm talking about, where you need to, every now and then, you need that. You need that kind of vitamin to keep you going. It's that sunburst, sort of. Being in the right environment or around the right people or talking to the right people helps you, and that recharges your creativity in that sense of like confidence, where you're like, all right, I'm ready to do some shit. I'm ready to get down. I'm ready to like do this. Just like, okay, that's all I needed right now. And sometimes we need that. Environment also is important. Environment can actually really ruin you sometimes, where you just don't want to be creative. You don't want to do anything. You don't even want to write on a piece of napkin. So that's another thing that's very important as an artist. Being in the right place sometimes, or just have like that space or that person that you could go to and just be around them, and that would just like help you out. I mean, gallery shows does it, but sometimes a gallery show can make you just as depressed. There are shows where
You're out of control.
there are shows you go to it,
Tell the
the
truth.
work is so good, you're like, oh my god, what the hell am I doing with my life? You're like,
No, I love that.
I'm not even at the footing yet.
Wow, that's beautiful though. I mean, I love that. That's so practical, and I think we need to hear that. You know, we need to hear that and understand that we need to be in those environments that charge us, and we have to be aware of those environments that really drain us and drain our energy and take away our stifle our creativity.
Yeah.
Because I think all artists deal with that, and we have to make choices that because a lot of these places we can make choices that I don't need to be in that environment, or I need to create these spaces for myself. So the process of creating becomes a more consistent process, a more consistent flow over a period of time. That's good stuff. Any more jewels? Any more jewels? You're killing it. Whoa! No, I'm serious because I keep, these interviews have become almost like an open source for other artists. So no matter where you are, like even somebody that is just beginning or doesn't have a long career, they can listen to this and understand some of the pieces that you just don't learn. You can't sit down and find out what you just talked about.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
No.
So this is the way we use technology and social media to help each other as almost like a community. Well, let me see what this artist is talking about. Wow, I didn't know that. Because I've learned so much by talking to the artists. Just so much. So many nuances and so many different perspectives and so many things that I don't know. And we all need to learn. We need to be open so we can become stronger, that we can become better, that we can become more loving, that we can embrace each other like openly. That's where the key is, that we can talk to each other about what's going on.
Community.
Yes.
Community.
Just what you just said. Right.
Community.
Right.
Because a lot of people throw the word community around, but yet
they
don't.
Oh.
Because it's a good word to use to draw people in.
It's a buzzword.
Okay, it's a buzzword and it's a trending word, but
is it trending right now?
Who knows what's trending anymore? Go on Facebook. I hate Facebook. I swear, and probably I should not say that.
Say it.
Facebook pissed me off because it'll be something tragic. For example, when the Sandra Bland murder happened, it said trending now, and then her name. That drives me crazy. How we're not even gonna go there.
No, we can go there. No, talk about it because
it's inappropriate.
Right? Because see, the thing is, my thing is when I name this series, the artistry creates the world. There are people out there that have the ability to change what Facebook is. You see what I'm saying? So even as we plant the seed, we can address that. Somebody can address that.
I do like that the aspect where what's on our minds. Everyone is on the same wavelengths. Where did you see what happened? Did you see what happened? Where everyone's saying screw the news. Everybody's sort of like getting on Facebook. On that level, you kind of know what's going on, like a huge thing that's happening. But when you put the word trending, okay, next to a tragedy, that kind of like drives it's upsetting to me because it doesn't fit. The word trending should not be associated with just everything. Okay, people need to like scale some shit back nowadays, where you can't just stamp the same thing for every situation. Okay. Now, to go back with the community, people do that, where they use the word community all willy-nilly, but then they don't know the people in the community. They don't know the artists. They don't know what the artists are doing. They're not even saying, hey, how's your series doing nowadays? Talk about I saw you did those sculptures. Are you making more of those? Like, where are you showing? You know, these dialogues where if you're part of a community and you're there for those community of artists and you can do something about it, have a dialogue with them. Know who's in your community. Don't stay there and not say anything and just use the word community, but you have no clue what's going on with
There's
the
no
community.
connection.
There's
It's
no
not
connection. And I'm not talking about Newark specifically or anywhere specifically. It's just, that's just a fact where I talk to people who are in the community, okay, and there are more and more that just pop up where I say, hey, you're an artist, I'll see. So when this is the interaction, you come to the show, I'm part of the show, they say, do you have work in the show? I say, yeah. Is this your work? Yeah. Oh, I like your work. I'm like, are you an artist? I usually do that immediately. Are you an artist? Oh, I do some stuff. I'm like, well, what do you do? And they'll tell me. I'm like, well, you're an artist. They're like, well, I haven't done it in a while, you know, whatever. I'm like, well, what stopped you? So we'll have these conversations or whatever. I said, well, where do you live? I live right here in XYZ. And then I'll say, oh, so have you showed in the area? They're like, nah, I just go to shows in the galleries. I come around a lot. You keep coming to these shows, you're an artist and you haven't shown yet, there's something wrong with that. How is it no one's ever asked you if you're an artist and what kind of work do you do? That's where's the encouragement? Because someone like that, slowly and surely, what they could have done, okay, is being suppressed. And very often I'll have these conversations with people who, and then they, oh my God, their views on things, they're the ones who say the most amazing things about the work. Because it's almost like those are the times where they can really express themselves by talking to a fellow artist, especially about a piece that they kind of resonate with, and then they just express themselves to the point where even a friend of mine recently, I'm like, dude, you should be a writer. Like, seriously, like, write or have your own magazine or something, because you know you could do this. But sometimes it's the encouragement, and I fall into that too, where I have a project I want to work on, and I go, I don't have any place to do it because money, blah blah blah, equipment. Sometimes I'm like, and then before you know it, it's gone. But that's because I'm not having the right conversation with the right people. Had I had conversations with the right people or know who to have, exactly, it's a whole different thing. I'll get stuff done because I could go to certain people, either in my community or whatever, even if it's someone in my community, like, hey, this is what I have in mind. Not go through the writing and sit down in writing, but literally just, hey, do you have a 30-minute window where we could have a meeting? I just want to, yeah, you need just to let you know where my head is at. How can you help me?
There's a feedback loop within the community, or there should be.
There should be.
In a safe space also.
Yeah.
Right.
Spaces or a space.
Yeah. Where
you could just go and hang out and just drink coffee and whatever, and then be able to talk about ideas. Just like, see, you know, hey, I know you're working in such and such. How did you manage to do that? Because these are the conversations we do have, where you see someone where you're like, hey, how did you do your Artistry Creates the World series? How did you start that way? Because I have an idea, I want to do X, Y, and Z. How do you go about it? And then you share. Now, here's the thing.
Yes. Yeah, go there. No, go there. Because I was getting ready to go there.
A lot of people don't want to share.
Right.
But there are a lot of people, too, who are out there to aim to just collect and take away from you.
You're right. I agree.
Which means the dilemma is no one wants to talk.
Did you want to say steal? No.
I did. People are afraid to talk. Hey, people do steal ideas out there. People do steal ideas. That's just the reality. You know, it's not about borrowing and reinterpreting and being like, oh, my vision was similar to this. How do I make it my own to sort of like fit.
It's a Tef
whatnot.
man. That was a Tef man.
But instead they just like, yeah, just like grab and go. This isn't a free for all, you know.
Yeah, it is tricky there because people do steal ideas, but I would have to say, and I put myself on the line and the limb, but recently this is what's happening to me. I share. I have to share because what happens is I have a preponderance of ideas, and I think that free flow is there for us when we do share. And even more, we generate even more spark, even more creativity. We expand versus when we keep that seed or those seeds within ourselves. They don't grow. They're not able to blossom. And but they blossom when we talk. They blossom when we share. They take on new branches and new colors when we begin to talk to other people. So I would have to say, yeah, I do share. And I think we also begin to show others what that true community is. You know, when we have these conversations, come talk to me. Tell me about, tell me some more. Tell me about, or well, how do you think? Or if I can help you in any way, in terms of, if you need some feedback on something.
Yeah.
We can talk. We
Yeah.
take a few minutes. I'm not going to charge you for it. Let's talk. If it's going to help you to get to another place.
Some people are about the talking, and some people are about the gathering of the information. And when they gather it because they're sourcing you so they could take what they they're taking you. You're their source, and then they're just gonna take it. And I'm not saying everybody's
no.
But here's an example. Someone told me, the way you gotta do it is you gotta fake it till you make it, right? So let's say you're a writer and you haven't written in a while. If you're going out and about, you're mingling, and people are like, oh, what are you? You're like, hey, I'm a writer. Oh, what do you write about? And then based on what you've written about or things that you've been thinking about, you might say, oh, this is a blah, 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 blah. And they're like, oh, I can't wait. They want to ask you more questions. They want to pick your brains. I find that whenever that happens, this is what you need to do. Yes, talk some more. Keep some details back. But more importantly, pay attention to how eager the person wants that information. Does it seem like it's someone that's taking the information? Like, you can't really tell. You really can't tell. Because there are times I'll explain a project I haven't started yet, just to see how people react to it. And that will motivate me to say, okay, yeah, it's time for me to start the project. I'm testing the fields. But more importantly, I don't want the idea that I've been talking about this whole time, someone else grabs it and then they run with it. So I need to get on that and start that there thing, because someone is going to do a version of it. And guess what? Someone already did another version of it. Right. Okay, because nothing is original. Don't even try saying, well, I'm waiting for that original idea. Then you ain't going to do nothing. You'll never do anything. All you could do is do something that is really true to you. Make it your brand. That word brand, I'm borrowing it from Larry Osei Mansa. He was the one about 2 years ago. He's talking about branding. He's like this great curator. And I learned the idea of making it more like, it's more about your brand, your brand. And I mean, I can't even really explain it, but you're not. Don't try to be original. Make something more an imprint of you. Okay, where they see something and they're like, all right, this is Dominique. Right. Dom did this. This gotta be Dom. Right. You see even
that's
with
that's a good explanation.
Yeah, because when I did the gallery, Algyra, not yet. I haven't been at Algyra, but Gallery of Pharaoh. When I did that front platform,
yes,
okay, it was mostly white with speckles of black, right? Okay, the Negro quota piece. Well, a lot of people didn't know it was me, but there are a couple of people. They're like, "Dom, is that your work in the front?" I was like, "Yeah." They're like, "Yeah, it looks like your work." Because guess what? Normally, I do the black on black. That's my visual cue, but more importantly, because of the titles, because of the concept, the idea, some people already knew this is my work.
I'm gonna have her back streaming because she's giving lessons, visual cues. You know, cut.
Silly.
Yeah,
Cut.
you gotta have
It's
to
a
cut.
wrap. It's a wrap. It's
Thank
a
you
wrap.
so much again. Wow.
Yeah,
Oh, where can they reach you? Oh, you don't like Facebook, so where can they reach you? No.
Facebook, Instagram, Duro, and my website is dominiqueduroso.com. You know, if you need to email me about, some shows, gallery representation.
And we're gonna have her back. I like to do something with the Haitian American artists. That's something that needs to be talked about, I think, more because we don't discuss that.
January.
Yeah.
January, we're
You got
doing
something?
something. We're doing something.
Okay.
I'm not gonna talk about it here.
All right. Good.
But
She's not gonna talk about it.
January-
You got to follow her.
January at Index Art Center.
Cool.
Me and 2 other artists. We're gonna be there.
So
We're
maybe
gonna
you
be
can
doing something.
maybe you can do a YouTube before you do it, like maybe a couple weeks.
Maybe you're gonna come out and you're gonna be doing something with us.
Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds good. I love it. Look at that black and white.
I told you the black and white was gonna
Yeah,
look
and
beautiful,
it makes
right?
you work. It makes you
Yeah.
work to look at details and what's going on.
I told you the black and white. That's my thing now. Black and white.
You'll be back. Thank you so much.
No,
I know
thank
I said
you.
that because you add so much to the entire series. You add so much.
Oh, you being
to
sweet,
the-
man.
No, I'm serious. I'm serious. I'm
That's
serious.
the cold
I'm
talking.
talking. No. So what was the term?
That's the cold talking.
Oh, we're cold. We out, y'all. Peace.
Bye.
Follow us. We're cold. I ain't got no